Lovelies, I'm back. Hello, family. This is my second or third time recording this video. ah! Literally, this is the second or third time, and I am getting really tired. Oh my gosh, this is like the second time. The first time, the sound wouldn't work. Okay, and then the second time, I was on full screen, and I didn't have the article. And so I said, no, I gotta do this thing all over again. But anyway, hopefully this time when I record this video, it will go the way that I want it to go. I can record this thing like it's supposed to. But anyway, I found another great article, you guys. And this one is talking about the slave trade again. I thought this was quite interesting because it goes into more details again, and it just gives some fun facts. And hopefully, I can see the screen this time. And I gotta turn the screen up. I try to make sure I hit the right button this time. It says here, Washita, Yamasee, Iroquois, Cherokee, Choctaw, Blackfoot, Iroquois, Mohegan, and all indigenous people of America. Then it says here, in 1993, the United Nations Center for Human Rights recognized the Washita, not sure what they're trying to say here, Empire of the oldest indigenous group of people on earth. The registered project 21593 ensued. Just read 12 million slaves arrived in Americas between 1540 and 1850 over a 310-year period, according to U.S. history books. Everybody know that's not true. Everything has just been completely whitewashed. But let's continue. It says it looks at the following facts of published materials. We are living under another ideological part of American revisionist history. Exactly. And also the following undermines the whole breadth, depth of what's written in American history book by using simple calculation. The following information ascertained. So what he did was he or she, I'm not sure if it's a female or a male, they didn't put their name down, so it's anonymous. But they went through and wrote down some of the information that was in the history books, and which and you can pretty much go through and just debunk all of this stuff that they written in the history books, because a lot of this is made up, it's fiction, it's in someone's imaginary mind, because it just doesn't make logical sense, and science and biology just proves otherwise, and just pure logic that some of the stuff that was written is just not accurate. Okay, number one, it says over a period of 310 years, it is fair to say that 64,000 slaves were transported annually to the Americas, North, Central, and South. Or has the transportation of slaves at the extent to which has claimed to be America's one big myth? Yes, it has. I think over here, you look at the top, they say 12,000 slaves arrived in Americas. They always say Americas. Some people will think that they mean just the United States alone, but they mean the whole entire Americas. But when you think about it, technology wasn't up to par like that. They didn't even have steam. They didn't have steam engine back then. And steam engine didn't happen until the 1800s. Okay? They didn't even have that. So in the 1500s, they didn't even have, they just didn't have the technology and capability to bring over millions of people like that. The ships were entirely too small. They wouldn't. The Atlantic was too strong and too violent. Most of them crashed. I say half of them crashed. So it just doesn't make any sense. What made more sense is that they came to Americas and the people were already here and they enslaved them. That's exactly what took place. But let's continue. It said 12 million slaves were transported to the Americas, North, Central, and South. Yeah, right. All they did was circulate the same people, the same indigenous people. That's all they did. Okay. They're doing that because they don't want to pay reparation and give the lands back to the rightful people, which is us, the AKA African Americans, which, no, we're the Aborigine Americans. And, they are just putting all these lies and that, and constantly printing out this BS media and then trying to do roots and try to, indoctrinate people through some more fairy tale lies that just doesn't make no sense. Everybody know that Alice Haley was a fraud. He plagiarized the whole entire book, so none of this stuff actually happened. So why do a story that's not accurate? And that's why I'm disappointed with the History Channel. Why are you putting a inaccurate story of what took place if it's not even a story that's written by Alice Haley? It was stolen. So if it's not factual, it should not even be up. That's not a documentary. That's just false narrative, trying to continue this great supremacy. But let's continue. It says, the statistics, number 3, it says statistics state that 13 colonies had 600,000 slaves. The first colonies was in Virginia, 1585 through 1776. And I think I did a video on the Virginia Indians. And another YouTuber, Autonomous One, he is an excellent person to go to. He really does an extensive research and go into even further detail about the Indians, the Virginia Indians. And, they were specialized in tobacco. And so that's what the Europeans came in here and used them for during the slave periods. And of course, the Virginia Indians were Aborigines. They were not these Mongoloids that they keep on throwing up here and these half-breeds. Because, if that was the case, then how come they weren't the ones enslaved? Okay? They said they had the Indians work the fields, and the pictures that they always show are Indians with afros. They were not the ones with straight, shrinky hair, lanky hair. Okay? The Indians that they show in the pictures had beautiful afros. Okay? They were not gray Caucasoids and Mongoloids. Mongoloids was on the west, further west, and they were in Canada. That's where they were. They were not on the east coast. But they, and the people they have in Oklahoma representing the Indians are nothing more than the $5 gray Caucasoids that stole that did pure identity theft during the Dawes Commission, and maybe a sprinkle of half breeds that followed. And let's continue. Between 1770 through 1860, there were 4.5 million slaves in the United States. Okay, and then if you look at the Census Bureau, and do a comparison and a comparison analysis, you'll see that there are some discrepancies there that just doesn't make up. They want us to pretend that it doesn't exist, but there are still discrepancies. And where did those Indians go to that you claim you had prior to the 1700 census? They didn't just miraculously disappear. What you did, you enslaved them after these wars. They were prisoner of wars. That's was actually what took place. And it says number 5, the largest seagoing vessel carried 400 slaves, but not all of the ships were that large. Exactly. If you're going to bring in millions of people like you claim you did, you'll have huge vessels bringing people over. To bring in that many people over over a certain period of time. You didn't have that many vessels. Okay, vessels wasn't even in existence. Y'all didn't have that in the 1500s, in the 1600s. You had little boats. Okay? They wouldn't. And you didn't have no engine to move it along faster either. So it's just impossible. So let's go on here. Number 6, this author does a extensive breakdown. It says here, time of voyage, a passage is 3 to 4 months. That means 200 vessel ships per year would have traveled carrying 300 people. One ship would have made 3 passages per year. The Transatlantic Slave Trade Database says there were 1,100 to 1,400 voyages. made over 300-year period. If the case of the ships carried 400 people, the total will be 500,000 slaves. Africans were transported. The number is close to the claim in item 3 that they say is to 600,000 slaves in the 13 colonies. The chart shows 500,000, but but it still does not add up, and it doesn't. And like I said, I'm not sure when this article was written and when it was published, but Emory University has done a research on slavevoyage.org. And in their study, which is more accurate and more recent study, it shows that only 300,000 came over. That's it. And that's for the United States. Only 300,000 came over. And then and then if you subtract the imports from the exports, it would be even less than that, y'all. Even less than that. So these numbers don't add up. And I'm sorry, you guys. I got me some cough drop here. But see, it's just too much of a discrepancy. And it's like every time you read different sources, one source say one number, another source says another. It's just they play games with our history. They play games because they don't want the truth to come out. That's all. They just want to BS. But have you noticed they don't they don't change around Caucasoids history, the Greys. Maybe we need to go in there and change theirs around and switch the numbers around so they'll never know the truth. A lot of people don't understand until it's them. But anyway, number 7, because of the way humans were tightly packed in, half of them died on the route. Exactly. It just doesn't make no sense. I'm sorry, that's a cough drop. Because of the condition they had the people in, they were packed up like sardines. If they claim they did, they claim they had them in there as packed in sardines. That don't make no sense because people have to go to the bathroom. People have to eat. People have to take a bath. People have to take a dump. So how you gonna do that if you got all these folks in the ships like they claim they did? And then not only that, it's been proven that mostly males was the ones that were brought over if they were brought over. But the females, so they were still using the indigenous women here to have babies. And then it's been proven that the United States was the only country that was producing their own slaves. How is that happening? They were using the Indian women. Because the women and the children were the ones that were being kidnapped. They were killing off the men and kidnapping the women and children. Or they were kidnapping the women and children, and then they capture the men and throw them into slavery and send them over into the islands. All they did was send them to the Caribbean. So they didn't do anything special. They didn't do anything. All they did was capture the indigenous people, and that's the fact. And they want to hide it because they don't want to pay reparations and they don't want to give us land. And they're going to because, they don't have to. Because this is, karma is a way of coming back. You just can't keep on doing wrong and think you're going to get away with it. And it says here, number 8, items 4. There were 4.5 million slaves in the U.S. in 1860. After the Civil War, it was 3.5 million slaves that were freed. Okay? And then it says number 9. Did Native American tribes help slaves escape, or were Americans with African ancestors already part of the Native American nations that existed before Columbus arrived on the scene? They did. As a matter of fact, I'm going to tell you this. East Coast Indians were the Aborigine Indians. Okay? They were black. I don't even like using the word black. They were bronze copper colored. Okay? They were the Indians, and we are the Indians, okay? And the Mongoloids were further west. They weren't over here. That's why those earlier paintings that they had show people with afros, because they were us. And what they did was they just enslaved. And then they mixed in because they kept on raping the women and children. That's how those mixed people came. And they put them in there. And then what happened was they wanted to dismantle it because the Indians were constantly fighting. And then they put themselves in there, acting like that they were the Indians. And that's how they stole our identity. You know, making it look like that they're us. But anyway, let's continue. Number 10. We know Native Americans were enslaved, and Native Americans also enslaved people. But these people were enslaved Native Americans or African ancestry. The Indians enslaved many peoples they claim they did. And that was mostly the Great Caucasoids. They always trying to say that everybody else was doing it, but it's mostly them. They're the ones that reap the benefits of slavery. Nobody else benefited from them. So no. And I believe that the people that was in, both natives and Africans were being enslaved. It wasn't just one group. It was both of them and one and the same. And it says here, number 11, we already know that over 83% of Americans with African ancestry have Native American blood during the 1950s, but a recent study claims that is not true. So they all the way up to the 1950s, it's strange that was right during Jim Crow. The whole point of Jim Crow was to erase our indigenous heritage. That's why they were trying to lynch people and throw you in jail if you claim your indigenous heritage. Indoctrination in school, putting this gray washing lies in there and making it look, and then putting these pale looking Indians, knowing good and well that the Indians were never that color. And then making them look, and then they had the nerve to call, all of a sudden call themselves American and knowing good and well they weren't here. You're not an American, Caucasoids. You weren't from here. Okay? Everybody was here before you. You were not here. Okay, we were. And then for you to come in here and try to strip our indigenous roots, you're wrong. That's why y'all got that plague going on. And more plagues will be continuing until y'all do right. You know? Y'all read the Bible like y'all claim y'all do. You will see that. But y'all so evil and so selfish. Y'all don't even see it. You know? Greed has the best. And I won't say all of y'all. There's a few y'all that are nice, I've seen. But y'all still be on code with each other. And that being chlorine into y'all DNA. No matter what wrong your people do, you still support them. And that's a problem. And that's why we group y'all all together. Because y'all be on code. Anytime one of your own kind do wrong, y'all support them instead of doing what's right. But some of y'all do right. Some of y'all don't. But the bottom line is, if y'all see this is happening, y'all know it's wrong, fix it. But I don't see enough of y'all doing that. No, I don't. But anyway. And it says here, according to the study of Henry Louis Gates, only 4% of Americans with African ancestry have Native Indian blood, even though genomic chromosome evidence indicates that Amerindians, gene B, C, D, are descendants from African females before they migrated out of Africa 125,000 years ago. So that put us here over out of Africa 125,000 years ago, and that's when we got here. So that means we were here for thousands and hundreds of thousands of years. And then he goes on to number 12. Is Henry Louis Gates working for the man? And see, yes, he is. Henry Louis Gates is working for the Great Caucasoid. He's a coon. I used to think he was doing great work when I was younger. No, I didn't know any better. But as I learned more and more about my history, I realized this man he's wrong. What he did was very wrong. And he should be ashamed of himself, misleading his people to take DNA tests to help grade supremacy. And I did a video about these DNA tests and how it invades your privacy and everything. And I went into detail, and I think explaining why I think DNA tests are is another new technology or a way of stealing more of our identity and even doing racial profiling. Um, and a lot of these all these DNA test companies are owned by gray Caucasoids, and then they believe in eugenics and keeping gray supremacy alive. So they're going to use it the best way possible to lie and scave over the truth to keep the narrative going, because they want to continue to freeload off of us and be leeches. These viruses are going to have to go. Okay? And more of us need to wake up and put a stop to it and realize that, that we're from here. This is our homeland. Okay? Yeah, Africa is great. We're from Africa. No, in the distant past. But this is our home. And we need to wake up and realize that. That we are home. And, I know everybody's make us feel like we're not home because they make us feel like, feel like we're outsiders from our own homeland, just like Martin Luther King said. No, we don't even feel welcome in our own homeland. And this is our homeland. And these lands are ours. And that's why they're trying to put this narrative that's why they keep on printing everything saying Africa, Africa, Africa. They're doing that on purpose and not by design to keep the lies going. More of us need to wake up and not listen to these books. It's a way of brainwashing and keeping us, from learning who we really are as Indigenous people. But please like this video and don't forget to subscribe. I would love to hear from you. Put your comments below. I have a Patreon now. I finally did it. Took me a minute, but I got it. I got me a Patreon. I got a GoFundMe and I got a PayPal. So I'm trying to keep this going. I got a lot of projects going on that I'm working on. And so, I want to start doing some live streaming. Haven't decided on a date yet, and I'll let you all know. I'm still trying to navigate it and figure it out. I'm also live streaming on my Facebook page. If you're not on my Facebook page, please join my Facebook page. And I have, I have an account there, so please stop by there as well. But I enjoy talking, and I'm tired now. I've done this 3 times. I'm finally through. But please like this video, thumbs up, and peace, family, and be blessed. Bye-bye.